Hello Internet! It is April 2nd and Nintendo just released all their information on the Nintendo Switch 2, and I have a lot of thoughts about it, so I thought I'd go over what they announced and see what I think that means. So, top of the line news, Nintendo Switch comes out July 5th. It's going to be $450 or $500 if you want Mario Kart with it, which I think pretty much everyone is going to want. I mean, that's the big thing they're going to be launching with, so $500 is pretty much going to be your get-in price. They're going to be opening pre-orders on the 9th of April. And the interesting thing about that is they're going to be requiring you to have some time on the Switch, like 50 hours time on the Switch and a Nintendo subscription in order to actually pre-order it, which I think is cool, because that means we're going to be stopping the scalpers a little bit. Big ticket items here. We're going to have a bigger screen. We're going to have more memory, 256 gigabytes of memory by default. And they say it's going to be fast memory, which is great, I suppose. Going to have, fancy fast HDMI. And it's going to have a fan in the dock, which is interesting to help it cool down when it's in TV mode. They say it's going to be able to reach 4K. I mean, who knows how that's actually going to go. And they have two USB ports, one on the top and one on the bottom, which is going to be interesting because they also announced what that little C button on the Joy-Con everyone's been wondering about is going to be. It's going to be a connect button, kind of like a chat button. So Nintendo's going to have this whole chat system where you'll be able to have people on the bottom of the screen while you're playing and see what they're doing. And they've got a camera to go with that. It's a really interesting idea, and I'm sure they're going to try to integrate that in some of their games. Down a little further on, they talked about update to Mario Party Jamboree. It's going to have some very Kinect style, move your body to make things happen in the game, which I thought was wild. But the big thing is, of course, it's always the games. It always comes down to the games. They did announce they're going to be doing Switch 2 versions of a lot of their games, and unfortunately, they're going to charge us for that. So they specifically talked about that Mario Party Jamboree. There's going to have something new for Kirby and Forgotten Worlds, some sort of extra campaign. Both of the Switch Zelda games, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, they're going to update those. The Pokemon AZ is going to have a Switch and a Switch 2 version, and same thing with Metroid Prime 4. So it's a little unclear right now how much of a difference that's going to make. I assume the Switch 2 version is going to look better, but not me not being a graphics snob, I usually can't tell. But I'm hoping the big question is going to be on those games that aren't out yet, like Metroid Prime 4. Is it going to be more expensive if you buy the Switch 2 version? That's the real question. In terms of other games they talked about that Mario Kart looks cool, doing some sort of connected open world kind of thing where you do your race and then you have to then travel to the next place to do the next race, which is an interesting idea. They kind of hinted at some wall riding stuff and rail riding. I don't know, looks cool. You can play as a cow, which my girlfriend is going to love. She loves cows, so that's super exciting. It's Mario Kart. It's going to be 24 people online. I'm sure that'll be fun. They haven't really made very many bad Mario Kart games. Let's see what else. They announced a new Kirby's Air Ride, which is apparently what Sakurai's been working on this whole time. So those of you who want Smash Brothers, not coming anytime soon. But Air Ride was a cool game. So it's interesting. They're going to make another one of those. What else we got? So Donkey Kong. The Donkey Kong thing is interesting because this will be, I believe, a Nintendo-developed Donkey Kong. And the last time that happened was actually Jungle Beat, which is the one we had to play with bongos. I always get the impression that when you have someone else go off and make a game, like with Retro Studios, this keeps happening. They made a Metroid game, and then they had Nintendo come back and they made Other M. Just to get revenge. I say revenge, I don't really mean revenge, but they want to be the ones making their series, right? And now we have Donkey Kong. We had two great Donkey Kong games from Retro with Donkey Kong Country and Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Now Nintendo's coming back with Donkey Kong Bonanza. And it looks very different. It's going to be a 3D game. They did show some kind of 2D moments in it. They look like they're really focusing on Donkey Kong's power, but they still have some of the rolling and agility stuff he's known for. Really interesting. There's no country in the name. It's just Donkey Kong Bonanza. So I think it looks cool. That'll be out this summer. What else do I have on my list here? A new Hyrule Warriors game. I guess those have been selling well. This will be the third time they've done it. This time going to be set in the Zonai era. Okay. Nintendo always wants to throw us for a loop. So they announced the mouse capability. Both of Joy-Cons are going to be capable of being used like a mouse. So they did some things to take advantage of that. And one of those things is going to be a wheelchair basketball game, which is just the most random idea. And I think it looked like you're using both Joy-Cons to kind of like steer your wheelchair. It's very bizarre. The art style wasn't really working for me either. It was very minimalist. I'm not sure what they were going for. It kind of reminds me, we had ARMS on the Switch that was supposed to take advantage of the motion controls of the Joy-Cons. Now we got this. Will it be good? I don't know. Who can say with Nintendo? Long rumored GameCube games are coming to the Switch too. That's exciting. There's going to be a GameCube controller. I like my GameCube. My GameCube is sitting right there, right off on the side of the screen, because I like playing GameCube games every now and then. So that's cool. I hope we get a lot of those obscure games that haven't really come out in a while. That'd be nice. I still wish we had the Virtual Console back, because I feel like we're just missing games, but hope for the best there. Oh, this is kind of a bummer. So Nintendo announces this cool, like, tech demo thing, where it's going to be, the Switch is, like, big, and it's like a museum, and you can, like, walk around on the Switch and see the little features, and it's going to point out little Easter eggs they put into the game, but you gotta pay for it. This feels like the most pack-in thing possible, and they're gonna charge us for it. I mean, I hope it's not gonna be expensive, because, boy, I'm not paying like 20 bucks for a little tech demo thing. I'm sorry. In terms of games Nintendo actually announced themselves, it feels a little light. So, like, where's our Mario game? Where's our Zelda game? That's the big thing. It seems like they really wanted to focus on the first few months, so they talked about the stuff that will be coming out, like the Donkey Kong, the Metroid, and the Mario Kart, but a lot of the real big ticket stuff, they didn't talk about at all. I imagine that, of course, that will come. There will be a Mario game, there will be a Zelda game. I guess they're not quite ready, but the really big thing Nintendo always needs to sell its consoles are those first-party games. So I'm hoping they got them in the pipeline and they're just focusing on what's right now. Now, the big thing for me is they really focused on our third-party options. It's something Nintendo has struggled with for a few generations now, but we have a lot of third-party. So, like, there's a new FromSoft game called Duskbloods? Duskbloods. It's an exclusive FromSoft game, which is pretty cool. And then we've got, they announced a bunch of new indie stuff that's coming. So Deltarunes Chapter 3 and 4 got their release date. It's going to release with the Switch on the other platforms as well. They finally showed some Silksong. That's supposed to come out this year. They announced a new Enter the Gungeon, which has like a 3D art style. That should be fun. And then a bunch of stuff that's already out. It's going to be coming. So everything from Borderlands 4. Well, that's not out, but it will be out. There's going to be an Elden Ring. Elden Ring is going to be out on the Switch too. Final Fantasy VII Remake, Yakuza 0, Civ 7, which I assume will take advantage of the mouse, the Hitman games, the Hogwarts Legacy is going to get a better version. So you can tell that third parties are really on board with this one, and that's going to really matter for the Switch, because where Nintendo is most vulnerable is when people feel like this has to be their second console. You know, Nintendo always ends up being the second console for a lot of people because they want to play the real games, the big games. But looks like most of the big stuff's going to be on this. I think overall the console looks good. I think they're going to have some work to do still. I mean, it's not going to be cheap. $450 is higher than people were hoping for. A lot of people were expecting $400. This is going to be more expensive. I think the connection features are cool. I think there's a lot of fun things you could do for that. I personally don't see myself doing a lot of that, but like for kids, that's going to be great because, you know, as long as they got the parental controls right, you can have, you know, get online, play with your friends. That's great. A lot of cool features about sharing they specifically mentioned there's going to be games that you only need one copy to play with. And they've already announced doing like sharing digital copies, so that's cool. There's some negative things. We've already seen the compatibility with Switch games is not going to be complete. They released a list. Sounds like some of these things will be worked out, some won't. That's kind of a bummer. And they also announced that some of these games are not even going to be on the actual cart. They're just going to be basically selling code, except instead of a code, it's going to be a cart that like you put it in the Switch and it triggers them to download it onto the console, which is very weird and very Nintendo, but I don't know. Am I excited for the Switch 2? Yes, but if I'm really honest, it's like the Mario Kart game, Metroid Prime, and Donkey Kong, and then excited for potential future games that haven't even been announced yet. Well, Rhythm Heaven. It's going to be a new Rhythm Heaven. That's exciting. So, yeah, that's my thoughts. Let me know what you guys are excited about, because are you excited? I don't know. Hopefully the new console, the new Switch, will, be able to run modern games. Even if they have to pare them down, I'm hoping that it'll be a little more capable. And it'll definitely be stronger, but it's a little unclear how much stronger. So, anyway, that's my thoughts.